Many people understand how hard it is, even in these strange times, to find some quiet space for themselves. We must be very determined and organised to achieve a measure of the peace and quiet we need to re-energise ourselves and to refocus on our tasks and goals. Jesus was no different. From Mark's Gospel today, we hear that Jesus wanted some time out, so he sets off and travels about 50 miles northwest into a Greek region to the coastal port of Tyre. He leaves behind all that is familiar, his family, friends, disciples, and goes to a house, probably the home of a Jewish family in this Gentile territory. Perhaps he wants to retreat amongst sympathetic supporters, and he doesn't want anyone to know his whereabouts. Yet even here, Jesus is known. An unnamed Gentile woman who had heard about Jesus arrives at the house and begs Jesus to heal her unwell daughter. This is shocking. So many boundaries are broken. Her gender, ethnicity, religion, culture, socio-economic standing, all these things set her apart from Jesus and his hosts. On any one of these levels, public contact and conversation with Jesus risked condemnation for her and for him. Whilst we may be shocked to hear of the woman's approach, the grumpy-sounding, insulting reply from Jesus is not what we might expect. But his harsh response may be an expression of sympathy with Jews in the area who were exploited by the Gentile elite. The woman is undeterred and repeats her request on behalf of her daughter. Broken boundaries are meaningless to her, and her persistence pays off. Jesus graciously commends the woman for speaking to him as she did, and his words heal the little girl, even at a distance. Then Jesus leaves Tyre, and as he returns towards Galilee, he encounters a group with another request for healing. An unknown they bring a deaf man with a speech impediment to Jesus. Who are they? Family? Friends? Neighbours? We're not told, but like the Gentile woman, they beg Jesus to lay hands on the man, believing he can make a difference in the man's life. Boundaries are broken in this encounter too, different boundaries to the earlier story, but no less severe. This man cannot hear or speak well for himself. He must rely on and trust others willing to act on his behalf. Jesus takes the man aside, and although he cannot yet hear the word Jesus speaks, he can see and feel his actions. Then Jesus' word breaks the boundaries and opens a new life for the man. We don't know what the man's personal response was, but his friends were certainly very vocal in praise of Jesus, despite being told to keep quiet. They share what they have seen and experienced as a thanksgiving to God and in recognition that Jesus is to be praised. These verses are often called healing miracle stories, but perhaps there's another kind of miracle happening here too, like the breaking down of boundaries and prejudices, and the example of those who work for restoration and wholeness in communities. Notice that neither the girl nor the man approached Jesus themselves to ask for their healing, but they are restored to health and wholeness because others acted in faith on their behalf. The new life that is theirs ripples outwards and embraces the mother, the friends, and their wider communities. In our communities, there are organisations such as Lifeline, Women's Refuge, Red Cross, and many others who rely on trained volunteers to listen to those who are hurting and to advocate for those who cannot speak for themselves. There are countless, nameless theys putting their faith into action on behalf of others who need help. And we also can be theys, like so many other volunteers offering our time and skills for the good of the whole community. Both the woman and the unknown they from the gospel stories stepped outside their comfort zones, crossed over boundaries, and persistently spoke up on behalf of others. Boundaries are important. Psychologists tell us that they are needed for every child's healthy growth and our relationships' development. They unfold, embrace, giving us places of sanctuary and security. But boundaries can also divide, separating us from one another and make us feel distant from God too. It takes willingness and boldness to cross over boundaries for them to be broken down. It takes persistence and courage to speak up and to act on behalf of the marginalised so that lives and communities are restored to wholeness. Like Jesus, we all need to seek solitude sometimes, some alone time with God for prayer and reflection, so that once refreshed, we can return to our communities and put our faith into action. And may God grant us hearts to love and to care, eyes to look and to see, ears to hear and to listen, the courage and determination to act, especially on behalf of others, to bring justice and wholeness to our communities. God grant us grace that we may be like they. Amen.